Today we're gonna create this blood golem in Godot. Therefore, we will create a state machine using 4 states. We will need a patrol stage, an alert stage, an attack stage, and an idle stage. Whenever the player will enter the golem's collision shape, it will go to alert and then check if the player has left the collision shape or is still in it. If it's in it, it will attack, otherwise it will go back to idle and then to patrol. Before starting, I just released my first playable version of my game Tower to God. That is a solo project, and the blood golem there is an enemy. First, we need some sprites. We need the animation sprites and also the explanation mark. I left a link that leads to my HIO page. There you can download the assets for free. Let's now start with Godot. I assume you already have a simple player character that can move and something to stand on. Okay, we're now directly in the project. We start with looking at player and ground first, because we have to check the collisions here. The player will be on layer 1, while he has the mask on 2, which is the ground. The ground is on layer 2, and the player will also have to check for the enemy. The enemy will be on layer 7, so we have here the mask 7. And let's now head to the ground. The ground is on layer 2 and it has to recognize or see the player, which is on 1, and 7, which is the enemy. I want to let the enemy patrol until there's an edge or a wall, and on a wall the projectile the golem shoots will be destroyed. So we need a wall here, not only ground. We can just duplicate the ground and maybe drag it up a little bit, like here. That's enough. So we have also a wall in our scene. The collisions are the same. And now let's set up the golem with all its nodes and also the animation sprites. And we do the same for the projectile before we dive into the code. So we will need a character body 2D for the golem. Let's just rename it to golem and save it in a new folder. Yeah, let's create a new folder. Right click on resources, create new folder, and then we type in golem, and there we want to save our scene. There we go. Now we need 2 raycasts. These serve for recognition of the edge of the ground or a wall. So let's, for better understanding, call the first one raycast left and the second one raycast right. We will need a collision shape for the golem. So let's type collision shape 2D. An animated sprite for its animations, and click on the golem again. A sprite 2D, this is for the explanation mark on alert stage. Golem again. We will need an area 2D. This serves as, let's rename it to vision area, and there we need a child node, which is also a collision shape 2D. And this is going to be the vision shape. So the shape where the golem sees the player if the player is in it or collides with it. And the sprite 2D, let's just rename it to alert icon. That's for the nodes of the golem. We will also directly go for the collisions and layers. So he's on layer 7 and needs to see player, but also the ground. The raycasts have to be on collision mask 2, only for the ground. And then we have the vision shape, which, the vision area, sorry, just have to see the player. It doesn't need to be on a layer. So just see the player here. Now let's create a new scene, another node, and we head for an area. This is gonna be our projectile, so let's type golem underscore projectile. We're gonna save it in the same folder just for organization purposes. And I will need a collision shape as always. And we will also need an animated sprite 2D. There we go. Save it. Golem projectile has to, well, recognize player and also ground or wall. So hit 2 here. And that's it for the node setup. We will do animations in a sec. If you just downloaded the sprite pack, let's head to the folder and we will need all PNG files and then directly drag and drop them to our Golem folder. There we go. Should be all there now. And for the Golem, let's now go to the animated sprite 2D node. On the right, I put here animation, sprite frames, new sprite frames. Click another node back to animated sprite 2D, then here is something popping. And let's rename the first one to idle. And we need another one here. Hit that icon. Actually, we need 4 animations. So this one is patrol, the next one is attack, and then we're gonna need alert. For setting up the sprites, just let's start with idle. And oh, by the way, this is like the autoplay when loading. I think we do it for the patrol. And these two are looping. Yeah, this is for looping. Attack is not looping, of course. Alert is not looping. And that's for the speed of the animation here. Maybe we adjust it. Let's see. We go to idle and there's this little icon here. Select the frames out of a sprite sheet. We head to idle. We hit Control and use the mouse wheel to zoom in. Vertical to 1 here, and then we go in horizontal up to 6. Left click on the first one, shift, and then while holding down, click the right one, and then we got every sprite. Okay, here it is. Actually, if it is blurred in your project and the pixels are not sharp like mine here, go to project settings, and then we search for rendering textures, and then the first option has to be nearest, not linear like it's the default. Then your pixel art should be sharp. Okay, let's now hit play. Looks fine for me for now. We go to patrol and do the same thing 3 times more. So run, it's called run here. It's already right, it seems. So we select all of them. Maybe a little too fast. I change it to 3 and maybe we change it later again. Let's see. Alert. There we go. It's on the vertical, and there we go. That's alert. Yeah, there's coming up something from the belly. And attack. Attack is here. Vertical 1. Okay, there we go. It's 9 animations. They're like, yeah, vomiting the blood ball. Okay, that's the last animation for the golem. Let's set up the collision shapes. Or let's start with the ray cast. You can switch to or between selection or moving mode between W and Q on your keyboard. So I want to now change the position, so hit W and then let's just position it right here, the right one, right from the golem. We will adjust it in a second. First, let's head to the collision shape, we go with the rectangular shape. That's in fact easier. And I want to see the idle. Yeah, the idle is maybe more accurate. Like so. The raycasts, the raycasts, let's just align them with the collision shape. Okay, the alert icon, we can just take this one here, drag it there. There we go. Let's position it maybe in front of him, a little bit higher. Then let's go to the vision shape. I don't want it to look the same, so let's head over to debug color and pick maybe red or something. And then we add a shape. This is the shape the player gets recognized when colliding or in it. Back to selection, and yeah, maybe like so, a little bit longer. Good for now. The Golem projectile, let's set up the animation here too. New frames, click another one, click that node, there it is. Actually it's 3 states, so we need fly, we need appear, and we need splash when it hits a wall or something. I have just one sheet for every state. So there we go, 10 on the horizontal. Appear is like only the first 2. Then we have fly. Fly like these 3. Should be some variation at least next time. But okay. Appear is not looping, fly is looping, splash is not looping. And there we go. Starts with here, ends there. And let's go to the fly. That's for setting up the shape. I will also go with the rectangular shape. By the way, we can head to transform and just click on here and then drag the mouse like to left or right. Yeah, like so. That's for the collisions. Now we are heading to the script. We add a script to the Golem. Oh, no template here. Oops. Yeah, click on the Golem, no template here. And there we go. There's the Golem script. We will also need one for the projectile. There we go. We can see all the scripts here. If you want to go back to the 2D view, then just use this here on the top. And we will also need to make some changes in the player script. By the way, this is like the basic template for the player. If you just remove the script, do it again, then you can here click on the template, and then you will get this. This is our starting point for the video. And now let's go to coding before we get into debugging. Code-wise, we will not go the normal way, the usual way. Normally you would start with the skeleton of a state machine and then start with the, I think it was the patrol stage or state, and then you move on to idle, after then the alert state, then the attack state. But for the sake of this tutorial, I've decided to give you the chunks one by one and talk a little bit about it, so you have enough time to copy them and to roughly understand what is happening. And to even better understand, I also decided to make this whole tutorial project downloadable. It will be downloadable under the same link as the Golem sprites. I put it in the same project there, so you can evolve your Golem from there if you like. So let's now move on with the code. We have to go to the Golem and go from the inspector to node, and then let's go to the groups and add a group, and we will call it enemy. So the Golem is inside the group enemy, and this goes also for the projectile. And there we go. Hit save, and we will need a hitbox for the player. Area to D hitbox, which will also get a known collision shape. And let's set the collision, just has to recognize the Golem here. Setting this up like so, maybe also change the debug color. And there we go. Now let's first do the preparations for the player script, I think. We'll add a new group. This is called player. There we go. What we also gonna do is set this to a unique name. Oops, not the documentation. Everything that we may use inside the script. Also for the projectile. And the player. Hitbox shape. Okay, there we go. Now that we completed everything to set up, let me just show you the buggy Golem. So here it is. Back to idle, back to petrol, and once I stay inside, it will attack. But the projectile is not appearing, and we can just ride the Golem. It's not killing us. We will tackle that later in a sec. Of course, in the finished project file there will be no such bugs. It will work. So I just grab my Golem and place it inside the scene. Let's now head first for the player script. Besides the template, I of course needed a reference to the hitbox. I added the player to the group. You can of course do it node-wise, just to be sure I did it in code 2. And the magic is basically just happening here. You have a reference in your physics process by calling the function handle mob interactions, and then here is the function. It's relative simple. For body and hitbox, get overlap bodies. If body is in group enemy, which we already done, then die. And this goes also for the area in hitbox, which is the projectile. The body is the Golem, the projectile is the area. Then we die. For the Golem, it's a lot more complicated than this. But to have a better understanding of that, I just documented the code as good as I possibly could do. The same goes for the projectile here. So to conclude it, or to sum it up, with the enum, which is let's start with the golem. Here are the states: petrol, idle, alert, attack. Some variables like walking speed. For me, it turned out slow is better for the golem. Some gravity, the idle interval before getting back to petrol, and the idle duration. We have the reference to the projectile scene, time since idle, idle timer, y direction x, current state, state patrol, some stuff about the alert, a variable about the attack, the references to our nodes, and then the functions. I connected some signals directly inside the script, not via node. And there we have in the physics process the match current state, which is important. We have all process functions, like for the patrol, for the idle, the transition process, attack and alert, of course, and we have the transition to state function. Match previous state, match current state. I did a lot in the enter logic. With the flip direction, which is important. The function is player in front. This stuff about the signals here, the functions. Then the spawn projectile and the on golem frame changed. And this is still in German. Just set direction, no player pursue. That's better. So that's for the golem. I hope the documentation helps. It's not the most elegant solution, I know. And for the projectile, the 3 states appear, fly, splash. The speed of the projectile, splash, kill frames, the references, the ready function, setup direction, and enter fly, physics process, unbody entered splash, and Q3 at the end of splash. So that's it for the scripts. Let's now head to the bugs here. Okay, let's now face the first bug, which was not being killed by the golem when you run into it. Now it's working and resetting the scene. Of course, I first worked with the more complex code of my project, but this is not even necessary here, so I really simplified the enemy contact here, and then when you die, make sure to get tree reload current scene, and there you go. Yeah, okay, to the last bug. I wasn't sure why it didn't spawn, so I head to the script and added a print file here. Printing is important for debugging, and I just press play and got this message: spawn projectile called projectile scene 0 or 0. So I'm not referencing this correctly. I have to go back to the tutorial scene and click on the golem. There we go, and there it is. Project scene, projectile scene. It's empty. There it was, and we are running into another mistake here. We are in the projectile script. There's a bug just right here, which is quite funny. I typed here the collision shape 2D and wait for the animation finished, but actually want a reference to this thing here. It's just right here. Let's change it. Now I'm going to test it again. Fingers crossed. And there it comes. And another thing I did wrong. Let's see what that brings. Okay, let's now check. And it does kill and reset the scene correctly, even if I jump over the first one. So it's still in the scene. And there we go. For that, I just rebuilt the splash function. So actually I handled it with a timer instead. So that was the solution. Now we have to check one last thing. Therefore, let's just duplicate this. I just want to see if we've tested. Here we didn't test two things. On the corner here was like changing the direction, that was okay. But what about walls? Of course he takes his time. He doesn't notice the wall. So that's one mistake. And of course we need to check, does the projectile splash on the wall? Also not. So that's for now not working. Well, actually it's late and I'm questioning my own sanity. Look at that, I just duplicated the sprite. Oh my god. What's happening here? Just make it clean and we directly, oops, not do it again. We need the ground, which is duplicated. And not the sprite. We want to move everything over here. And let's now test it again. First the projectile. There we go, it splashes. Oops. And let's now let the golem run into this slow boy. And he will turn around. There we go. It's working. And I will now pack the project and leave it under the same link as the sprites, and then you can have fun with it. Sorry for the spaghetti code. For me it's working. I'm still learning, and yeah, as I'm improving I stumble all the time over mistakes and bugs, but these are important to grow, and maybe in a few weeks this state machine will even look better and more elegant than it looks now. So have fun with it and bye.